You've been taught to trust only what your five senses reveal. If something cannot be measured, dissected, or placed beneath a microscope, you've been conditioned to dismiss it as imagination. This way of thinking has become so deeply ingrained that most people never question it. Yet every authentic initiatic tradition has taught that human perception is unfinished. The ancient Taoists believed that hidden within every person lies a set of dormant faculties waiting to be awakened, subtle organs of perception that allow consciousness to experience dimensions of reality beyond ordinary awareness. This is one of the least understood aspects of Taoist internal alchemy, and perhaps one of the reasons these teachings remain hidden for centuries. Their purpose was never simply to improve health or build strength and vitality. They were designed to awaken an entirely new mode of perception. Contrary to what many modern spiritual movements teach, Taoist internal alchemy does not begin by trying to escape the body. It begins by inhabiting it more completely than ever before. The body is not viewed as a prison for the soul, but as the sacred vessel through which higher consciousness is born. Every meditation, every breath, and every circulation of energy strengthens an invisible architecture that the Taoists believed eventually becomes capable of perceiving realities beyond the reach of the ordinary senses. This is why all genuine alchemical practice begins with cultivating the lower dantian. It is far more than an energetic reservoir. It is the foundation upon which the subtle body is gradually constructed. As Jing is refined into Qi, and Qi into Shen, something entirely new begins to take shape within the practitioner. The Taoists describe this process as the formation of the immortal embryo, not merely as a poetic metaphor, but as the gradual birth of a higher vehicle of consciousness. Rather than leaving the body behind, the practitioner is building another body within it. One of the greatest differences between Taoist internal alchemy and much of mainstream Western spirituality lies in where transformation begins. In the West, spiritual development is often understood primarily as a change in consciousness. Meditation becomes an exercise of the mind. Enlightenment is treated as a shift in awareness. The body is frequently viewed as something to rise above, an obstacle that distracts us from our higher nature. Mind and body become opposing forces, with the spiritual path defined as the gradual transcendence of the physical world. Taoist internal alchemy begins from an entirely different premise. The body is not the prison of consciousness, it is the instrument through which consciousness evolves. The mind does not ascend by escaping the body, but by becoming more deeply rooted within it. For the Taoist masters, there can be no lasting expansion of consciousness without a corresponding transformation of the subtle body. Higher states of awareness require a higher vehicle through which they can operate. This is why so much emphasis is placed upon cultivating the lower dantian, circulating energy through the meridians and gradually refining Jing into Qi and Qi into Shen. Every stage strengthens the energetic architecture that supports spiritual perception. Without this foundation, moments of expanding awareness may certainly occur, but they remain temporary flashes rather than permanent transformations. Consciousness can only stabilize at the level that the subtle body is capable of sustaining. This is perhaps the most overlooked principle of Taoist internal alchemy. The goal is not simply to experience higher consciousness, but to become the kind of being capable of living within it. The subtle body must be organized, strengthened, and refined just as carefully as the physical body itself. Only then can the organs of spiritual perception fully awaken. In Taoist thought, body and mind are not separate realities but different expressions of the same living process. To transform one while neglecting the other is to leave the work unfinished. Genuine spiritual evolution is not an escape from the body, but the complete integration of body, energy, and mind into a single unified whole. As this subtle body develops, perception itself begins to change. Awareness becomes increasingly refined, and sensations that once seemed impossible begin to emerge naturally through practice. Many practitioners describe currents of energy moving through the body with unmistakable clarity. Areas of warmth, pressure, expansion, or vibration that seem to possess an intelligence of their own. Perhaps the most profound experience occurs within the lower dantian itself, where the awakening of this center can feel less like a gentle tingling and more like a powerful rumbling deep within the abdomen, as though something ancient has suddenly come alive. The Taoists regarded these experiences not as the destination, but as evidence that the organs of spiritual perception were beginning to awaken. These are not physical organs, but subtle faculties that allow consciousness to perceive energy directly rather than merely imagining or theorizing about it. Knowledge gradually becomes experience. Belief gives way to direct perception. One of the primary methods for cultivating these faculties is a microcosmic orbit, a practice that has remained at the heart of Taoist internal alchemy for centuries. By circulating energy through the governing and conception vessels, the practitioner establishes a continuous energetic circuit that gradually awakens the entire subtle body. The purpose extends far beyond simply moving energy. Every completed orbit deepens bodily awareness, strengthens the connection between mind and body, and refines the subtle organs of perception themselves. The practitioner doesn't imagine energy moving through the body, they begin to feel it with remarkable clarity. Over time, the body itself becomes a teacher, revealing truths that no book or philosophy can adequately describe. Another essential purpose of refining the subtle body is the gradual removal of energetic blockages that accumulate throughout a lifetime. Taoist internal alchemy teaches that emotional wounds, toxic habitual patterns, and chronic tension leave their imprint within the body's energetic structure, restricting the free circulation of qi. This process of purification rarely happens overnight. It often unfolds over years of consistent, dedicated practice as these blockages gradually dissolve and the energetic system becomes increasingly balanced. The ultimate aim is nothing less than the complete dissolution of suffering and inner struggle. As every blockage is cleared and the subtle body reaches a state of harmony, conflict between body and mind gives way to effortless peace. The practitioner no longer lives in perpetual resistance to life, but abides in a state of profound equilibrium where body, energy, and consciousness function as one integrated whole. This is why bodily awareness occupies such a central place within Taoist internal alchemy. Modern culture tends to treat consciousness as something confined to the brain, reducing the body to little more than a biological machine. The Taoists held a profoundly different view. They believed that intelligence permeates the entire organism, and that every organ, every energetic channel, and every breath participates in the unfolding of consciousness. As awareness deepens, practitioners often become increasingly sensitive to subtle tensions, emotional contractions, and energetic stagnation that previously existed beneath conscious awareness. These patterns are no longer abstract psychological concepts. They become tangible realities that can be perceived directly and gradually transformed through bodily cultivation. You cannot refine what you cannot perceive, and this is why awakening spiritual perception always begins with awakening the body. Perhaps this is the greatest secret hidden within Taoist internal alchemy. The body is not merely supporting spiritual development, it is actively generating it. The more deeply awareness enters the body, the more the subtle body begins to organize itself, and the more the organs of spiritual perception come alive. This isn't knowledge that can be borrowed from another person, accepted on faith, or understood through intellectual study alone. It unfolds only through direct experience. The ancient masters concealed these teachings because they understood that genuine wisdom cannot be transmitted through words alone. It must be cultivated from within. And when that process begins, the world itself no longer appears as it once did. You are not simply seeing more, you are becoming capable of perceiving reality through entirely new eyes. This is why Taoist internal alchemy has never been merely a philosophy or a meditation technique. It is a complete science of human transformation, one that begins within the body, awakens the organs of spiritual perception, and ultimately reveals the true nature of consciousness and life itself. Thanks for listening to this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe.